As policymakers, we need to ensure that we're soft with one hand, tough with the other hand, and balance things out. Because ultimately, we're all for growth, we're all for entrepreneurship.
Good morning. Welcome to the SiGMA podcast. I apologize beforehand for my voice. I'm a bit unwell, but I've got to thank Ivan for accepting our invite for part 2 of the podcast, because we said a lot last time, but we never came to the conclusions of all our arguments. So today we will pick up where we left off last time. Ivan, good morning, and thank you first of all.
Once again for having me.
Ivan, we spoke last time a lot about the gaming sector in Malta, where we're going. One of the areas we didn't manage to touch upon is what we would call the skills gap. That is, what the industry needs in Malta, and unfortunately, we don't have the people to fill those gaps. Is Gaming Malta in any way involved in trying to reduce the skill gap?
Yes. First of all, let's put things into context. First of all, there's 12,000 people working directly within the industry. You're looking for an additional 2,000 people who are working indirectly for the industry, but that's also shows our robust ecosystem.
If I may interrupt, of those 12,000 and 2,000, how many are Maltese?
Well, so I wouldn't have the exact number on that, but what we're seeing is, Trev, very, very interesting, is the number of C-suite being also Maltese, especially at a CFO level, which that brings also, and then also on the data sciences, research, and all that. I also like to mention also that I see a lot of equality and diversity within the workplace. So we're seeing a lot of female leadership also coming through. We see also that we calculate around about 800 open vacancies on a rolling 3-month period within the industry. So quite large numbers. Now, it's across the whole board, essentially. So from customer support, from live dealers, obviously, to middle management, etc. Talent is a big thing. So recently we also started a campaign called Respect. Okay, because we felt that the industry needs to be respected a bit more, and we thank Aretha Franklin for that, because it's RESPECT, Trev. So R is for responsible gaming, E is for entertainment, S is for speed, P is for product, the other E is for enhanced due diligence, C is for consistency and growth, and T, the major one, is talent, right? Because we needed to go out there as an industry and explain to external stakeholders what the industry is all about.
So you think that at a point in time the industry had become a bit of a target?
I think the industry is always at a target. I don't think it's at any point in time.
There used to be a time I used to hear people used to complain because of gaming, Dautal Gaming. They've increased salary levels, they've increased rent costs, and there was a bit of a bad rep. And I remember iGen having these discussions with Gaming Malta. Mm-hmm. So this Respect campaign, in part, is born out of that.
It's part born that. But what we wanted to do is we wanted to bring the industry together in a coherent and strategic manner. Mm-hmm. That, hey, this is what the industry is all about. So we are actually drawing up a trade manifesto, also to show. So a trade manifesto. So this is what we stand for.
Okay.
In tangible terms, it's a case of where we go outside. Audiences who are not used to speaking to the gambling industry have their own perception about the industry, from bankers to financiers, etc., etc. So recently I was invited on a fireside chat at the Malta Stock Exchange event where it was about governance, etc. Mm-hmm. And they brought in the gaming sector also, it was a good, very good initiative. And I was interviewed by the digital editor of the Financial Times, Philip Stafford, and I remember him. He said, "Come on, Ivan," he said, "you're talking about the gambling industry and you're talking about respect." And I said, "Phil, this is exactly, you are the target market that I want to convince, right? So there's good governance within the industry. The industry, Trev, has come from the cowboy days,
Yes,
right? And has moved to being, extremely, very well regulated.
Yeah.
Um,
Sometimes people argue a bit too well regulated.
a bit too well regulated. So I've had bankers, senior bankers, telling me, your onboarding processes are more stringent than ours.
Do you think we've lost that balance? I'm sorry, I'm deviating a bit, but this is interesting. Do you think we've lost that balance?
We need to readdress that balance. We need to readdress it.
I like the way you put it.
And as policymakers, we need to ensure that we're soft with one hand, tough with the other hand, and balance things out. Because ultimately, we're all for growth. We're all for entrepreneurship. I mean, I am a very big believer of us being, as policymakers and people working within the civil service or serving the civil service, being intrapreneurship. So we need to put our thinking hats on, and we can't just be a headmaster. I think the MGA does a very good job in balancing that out. I mean, the MGA is very well respected for doing that. But across all levels of policymaking, we need to ensure that effectively, we don't ever become so. But we need to be relentless in this. So the worst thing we could do is to sit on our laurels and be happy with what we have. We should never be happy with what we have, because the industry is changing as much as such as it sounds as a cliche. The only constant is change, and we're seeing change all over the place.
Does it worry you seeing we need to get back to the skills gap and what's being done there? But does it worry you that you see other jurisdictions developing, growing, and to a certain extent, some of them have actually taken a bit of business away from here?
I wouldn't say worry. I say it will give us that extra step in our pace. We keep a close. It's motivation. We keep a close. A very, very, very close to what they're doing. So they're on our radar, and in a way, it's good because it helps us to not become complacent, right? From what we see, and I chair the iGaming Council, right? So along the table, I've got basically 10% of the gross value added of the country, across that table. People don't want to leave the country. They believe a lot in the big boys. They want to live. They want look. The lifestyle is good. We're not a perfect jurisdiction by far. We have growing pains. We have growing pains also. And that is something which one needs to address, in a very smart way. But ultimately, we have to ensure. So for example, the Nordics, it says we will never go back to living to 9 months of darkness, right? Which are things, Trev, probably us as Maltese, we take a bit for granted.
Because we're not used to that reality at all.
Because we're not used to that reality, and yes, the increased maybe traffic on the island. But then they tell me, have you ever lived in London? How difficult that is, or in other jurisdictions?
Can you? I mean, I've been in London when the underground went on strike, and getting to ICE was a nightmare.
Yes, that's it. That's true. So but these things keep us on the road. Interesting enough, so we have a very open communication and very transparent communication. So even when it comes to
when you say very transparent communication.
So what we do is I chair the
council,
the iGaming Council. The Minister of Economy, Sylvia Schembri, attends those meetings, and basically they have direct access to the policymaker. Okay. And where people, if they need to air their grievances, they will air their grievances. It's a no holds barred approach, but it's a working meeting. Okay. So it's not just a sound. It's look, this is what needs to be done. These are the actions that we need to take, etc. For example, sometimes the industry also, because sometimes they tell us because banking is a bit of an issue, right? But then again, people within the council say, hey, we get the same issues overseas when it comes to banks. So basically, it's an industry issue. Yeah. It's an industry issue. And I've sat with bankers, Trev, where they squirm in their seats when you talk about, and let's say we are the gambling industry. as much as I came from 12 years or 15 years being head of marketing for a brewery, right? We sold alcohol. It didn't mean that we wanted anybody to become, an alcoholic. The same thing with the tobacco industry, all this. But there are the responsible measures, ultimately, and that's why with respect, the first R is responsible gaming, and we know that the industry, Trevor, and that would be interesting maybe to talk about it another day maybe, and we have a responsible gaming session because there is so much being invested into that where they're quoted in the annual reports around that, etc. So of all the measures, that they're doing. And when you talk to people outside the industry, they say, the industry does all this. Equality and diversity in the workplace. I don't see any industry promoting so much equality and diversity in the workplace. Before I spoke of female leadership also. I mean, look at, most of the chief people officers are Maltese. Within the industry also. So there is that's all being opened up, and people of different different cultures, multiculturalism, and all that. So there's a lot going for the industry, and I know I've mentioned this before, but it's a privilege and it's an honor to serve the industry, especially dealing with organizations who are doing things the right way.
Let's go back to the skills gap.
Yeah.
So you're saying over a period of 3 months, rolling 3 months, you have 800 vacancies.
Mm-hmm.
How easy or how difficult, and I would presume in certain roles it's more difficult than easy, is it to fill those roles? And which are the hardest roles to fill? Where is the skills gap?
All right, it's a very good question. All right. So it depends on which product life cycle I would say the operator is operating in. Okay, so a very clear example. Customer support, especially with different languages. Okay, so from Japanese to Portuguese, etc. Right? So effectively, they need to bring key talent around that, because obviously you can't find that talent on the island.
Yeah.
And to those operators, knowing that Portuguese or other Asian languages maybe also, that to them is an MBA, right? Because that opens up, so you are seen as extremely good talent. I would say data science also is because ultimately the industry is numbers and it's tech. So that needs to be constantly nurtured. What are we doing on there? So what we're doing is we have advanced level diploma at MCOST training students for the industry, so specifically an iGaming program, which we've built with the industry, and we continue to improve on that. Because as I think that these things evolve and you never arrive essentially. So we never, up to a year ago, we weren't talking so much about artificial intelligence, let's put it this way, and now it changed, now we've accelerated on that front.
If I may go back a step, this iGaming program with MCOST, what is it? It's a diploma? Is it a year-long course?
It's a diploma. It's you start over from the basics, so basically there's level 1, and then over a 2-year period, you specialize in certain areas. I get involved in that, and we lecture to them about what the industry is, etc. What is good is that there is an apprenticeship program tied up to that, and they can only qualify if they get onboarded as apprentice within the industry or associated industries. Now, what we need is that the industry takes on more of that, takes more apprenticeship. But because there is an issue, and the issue is so we normally start the apprenticeship in summer, okay, and senior middle management starts going on holiday, on vacation, and they don't have time to mentor. And then there's Euro 2024. We're all very busy with that, etc. So what we said, we put our thinking hat on. We said, okay, we don't need to stop this in summer. Let's continue throughout the year. I mean, today, gone are the days back in my day and in your day when, worker students. What did we used to call them? We used to just work in summer. And
I'm not falling
yes,
down. I'm not falling down this rabbit hole with you.
But
I know exactly what you mean.
But these are the things that we need to work with the industry and us as policymakers. Also, look, let's find a solution to this, and let's find a solution together.
Yeah.
Because there's a young crop of talent, that want to learn, also. So and they want to be part of this.
I still remember my days at Green Tube when there was nothing of the sort. Going to MCAST, speaking to lecturers, finding 3 of the top students and offering to sponsor their course. Sponsor their course, their books, but they have to start working with me. But this was done on my own initiative.
That's it. That's true.
But now at least we have a structure to it with these apprenticeships.
Yes, and also...
So it's, just to understand, in order for you to begin the course, you need to be an apprentice, or is being an apprentice part of the course?
Being an apprentice is part of the course.
Thanks, okay.
So basically, you join in the program, and they tell you, if you want to arrive to this level and you want to, then you need to train the apprentice. But this is it. I mean, so we want students who are ready to plug in and play, essentially. All right, so there's that area, and then obviously there's tech from the faculty of ICT at university.
Okay.
But even there, I would like to see more numbers. Okay, if I'm not mistaken, academic year 2023, just over 100 students qualified from the faculty of ICT, which 2024. Come on, guys. These students normally by year 2, of their program, they're already taken up.
Yes.
They're already taken up. So this is part of maybe of our educational system in getting more people,
pushing more people towards
we're
not talking
tech
about
industries.
Streaming here, as in streaming is a system used in the education system to drive people towards certain courses.
Yes.
But we need to make people aware that you have a better chance of being employed if you were to choose this sector than if you were to choose that sector. And this is no offense meant to any other course which is offered at the University of Malta.
Yes, which isn't just tech, but then you've got legal, coming. I mean, there's so much opportunities, from all around. But what I would like to mention is we're seeing, and this I'm very passionate about, Trev, this convergence of technology, right? So in a way, we're building up the video game development, we're building up the esports sectors and immersive tech. All these are coming together, right? So the video game people are talking to the iGaming people and telling them, look, guys, we might know how to design the games a bit better than what you do. The iGaming people are telling them, look, probably the way we monetize that, maybe we know even better, and we're trying to make them to join the forces.
The word ecosystem has been used and abused.
Yes.
But you're creating the right environment for the exchange of ideas.
For the exchange of ideas and also investment, Trev.
So I run and you have 2 minutes left.
Yes, I run an incubator space called Basecamp. Okay. And within that base camp, I have video game studios from different parts of the world in basically growing their industry, growing their studios in Malta. Their mission is very clear, sort of use Malta for your global ambitions, right? As a stage for your global ambitions. Okay. So I had one of these studios there. An investor from the iGaming company came along. He said, look, I always had a love for video games. He said, I want to invest in a video game studio from the iGaming world. I can mention him because we made it public recently. Nikolai Livori, right, from Canon Gaming, where basically
we actually had him here as well.
He bought the talent from the studio, took them out of Basecamp, and that's exactly what we want out of Basecamp, that people graduate up to Zedder, move out of there, and there he's building concurrently a video game studio. Now that is the future for this jurisdiction, and how to to basically look at all that as you know, when we talk about the ecosystem, that they're both feeding on each other.
We
Essentially,
basically need to create a stronger environment to have more Nikolai Liveries.
that's it. And you know, talking more about entrepreneurs and looking into that. But then there's immersive tech, the using of immersive technology. I have an immersive tech lab at Basecamp. You know, so one of the major British studios is based on the island doing that.
We need to stop.
We need to have part 3.
But it was a pleasure to host you. Thank you for sparing my voice. Appreciate that a lot.
Thank you.
Ivan, good luck. I really wish that, especially this growing of the environment, is successful. Thank you for your work. And thank you so much to the entire crew here at SiGMA. And we will be with you next week with another episode of the SiGMA podcast. Thank you so much.